We didn't invite him.
Hey, Al.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm always good. How are
I know
you?
you are. Good, thank you.
Good. How do you turn this on?
They should be automatic.
Hello.
Everything's on.
It's on, okay. All right.
It turns out when you're supposed to speak, not when
Okay.
you do speak.
I'll let you know if they're
All right. Town of West Warwick Planning Board, meeting Monday, February 6th, 2017, the West Warwick Town Hall. Call the meeting to order. Elaine, can you do a roll call?
Joshua Barrett,
Here.
Anthony Petracca,
Here.
Joe Gladosik,
Here.
Josie Martino,
Here.
Ray Miller.
Here.
Okay. Item 1, approval of the minutes from the November 16th, 2016 meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion is made. Is there a second?
Second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I ask for a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Item 2, amendment to the town zoning ordinance, section 3.21A, disabilities, section 5.6.10, supplemental use regulations for commercial vehicles, and 5.6.16.21, supplemental use regulations, accessory family dwelling unit.
Basically, these were changes in the state statute, so these bring us into compliance. They define what a disability was. The first, on that 5.6.10, the state statute has a provision now in case of a fire or something like that you can have a trailer. And then they added a section to the zoning code for in-law apartments for people over 62. It's that the language is quoted from the state statute, and we're just basically bringing our zoning code.
So we don't really have much of a choice in this. We gotta bring it in line
We're
with the state's.
we're putting our zoning code in compliance with the state statute.
Okay, we have to ask for any questions from the audience?
It's just for a recommendation to the council, which
Okay,
they won't,
yeah, that's-
which
we
they
don't- so
won't pay
this is-
attention to
okay,
anyway.
so, I'll entertain a motion that we send a recommendation to the council that this be approved.
I make a motion to send this to the town council.
Okay,
Second.
all right, any further discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion passes unanimously. Item 3, amendment to the town zoning ordinance, section 5, use regulations, and section 17, development plan review. Attorney
This one has a little more to it. Background, when they passed the medical marijuana statute, they created, I'll call them 3 classes. The Compassion Center, which was those 3 state-approved places that were going to grow marijuana and sell it. The cardholder and/or caregiver, the cardholder was the individual raising marijuana for him or herself, and the caregiver was one who could grow marijuana for up to, 6 or 12 people. The 3rd category was the cooperative cultivator, where a couple of cardholders got together and they shared space and grew their own marijuana. What was happening was, for some reason or other, even though supposedly the amount these people could grow was limited, they were growing more than they could use, so they were selling the excess to the compassion centers. Well, the state decides, okay, instead of just saying you people can sell it to the compassion centers, or saying to the compassion centers grow more, they say, okay, what we're going to do is you people can't sell it anymore. We're going to create another category called a licensed cultivator. So, and you people can't sell it. All of a sudden, as of January 1st, just shuts them off. So now these people are in a bind. They've made these big investments where they're selling their excess marijuana to the compassion centers. They can't do it anymore. This whole new group of people that doesn't exist, they're the ones that are going to sell it to the compassion centers and not to the people, the retail buyers. So what Mark has been flooded with has been all of these people who were cooperative cultivators are saying, you know, what can we do? We want to switch over to licensed cultivators. So we had to go back to our zoning code, and we had to create a new category of licensed cultivators. When Mark and I first started on it, we decided, well, since this is going to be a commercial operation, like the Compassion Center, we put them in the CI district like the Compassion Centers. Well, what Mark got flooded with was a bunch of these people who were cooperative cultivators, are doing the same thing that the license are gonna do. They wanna just switch over from cooperative to license, and the state says, fine, you know, we can do that. So all of a sudden, the state is saying, okay, everything you're doing is great with us, but you need a zoning certificate. Well, they can't get a zoning certificate because they're not operating under, the state law also says you gotta comply with zoning. We're gonna approve you, but you're gonna comply with zoning, but you can't comply with zoning. So what we did was we created the provision so that we can have these licensed cultivators. And because we got all of these people that are not in the CI zone, but have got their established, they've been approved all the way up by the state until they get a zoning certificate, which they can't get. So we put in that grandfather clause. It says, if you've been approved and you got your building permit and the fire permit and everything else, we're gonna let you, and you're in existence as of now, we're gonna let you convert over to the licensed cultivator. Anybody coming in the future has to go into the CI zone so we can limit it. But that, and the payoff is that now that we're going through all of this in the legislature, they're basically, they're getting ready to say, the hell with all of it, we're gonna make it legal.
It was only stays legal in the properties, because that's been a little problem when our last meeting at the city, at the housing authority. They said the town council's saying they're gonna make it legal and we're gonna be able to do weed, and I'm like, guys, you want federal properties, and the federal, we have to evict people, so there's some misleading. So this doesn't, this only affects the private commercial residents, but it doesn't open the door where these people over here at the housing authority can say, hey, the town just says I can file for a license, and it's like, wait a minute, you live in a federal. That's what's happening, there's a lot of confusion.
No, the only people that can convert
Yeah,
are the people already
exactly.
in the cooperative cultivators, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
If you're coming in to start now,
Yeah.
then you gotta go through the process of planning board, zoning board, CI zone, you know,
Special use.
special use permit, if you're gonna start a new operation.
Yeah.
The big thing was that, you know, these people, and some of them spent some dough in getting, you know, these operations are not a flashlight growing the stuff, and so, and Mark has been dealing with the people, I haven't had any comment.
So basically what happened was the state created this new category, as Al said. They eliminated the other categories from being able to sell to the compassion centers, and they're restricting that to this new category. These individuals that Al's talking about that are cooperative cultivators went to the state not knowing any better, and the state took them through an approval process all the way to the end. They've made substantial investments in security, building upgrades, fire code, and building code improvements to their facilities. Then they came to the town and said, can we have a zoning certificate? And our response is, we don't have such a category, no. So that's what Al's talking about. So what we did was we decided to grandfather those individuals who predate this ordinance that have a valid CO, fire approval, and meet all of the building codes. Anyone coming tomorrow or anyone coming even today will have to go through this new process. To answer your question, they wouldn't even be eligible if they're living in an apartment. It's a commercial use, and we're restricting it to the CI zone.
As a matter of fact, it got so bad that I drafted a statement that they have in the building office that they just hand out, that these people are coming in, they say, hey, you know, the state said we're okay. We want a zoning certificate, and they just give them this form letter that I drafted saying, you can't do it right now because our zoning doesn't allow it. So I'm going before the council tomorrow night for the first reading. The report that I sent to you people, the council has had that for several weeks, and so they are aware of what's coming up, and I'm gonna be before them tomorrow night for first
And this
reading.
is us making a recommendation.
Correct.
You, again, anything doing zoning, you have to make a recommendation.
Charts on 5.3 table, use regulations, it looks like they don't line up, which leads to some confusion.
The one that went to,
Yeah.
that's gotta be my error
Yeah.
in converting them, yeah. They should all be moved over to the left.
There's one, there are two of them in the top and one
Yeah.
at the bottom that seem to have been one tab too many.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. And,
And then down at the bottom there's a typographical correction on, the cooperative cultivator. That should have been a yes, and it was when they put it into the printer put it into the code,
They had the yes.
they added an S to it.
all right, so the cooperative cultivator, yes, is in any zone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's by state law.
Right, and
Yeah.
licensed cultivator, only in the CI zone, will
Yeah.
specially.
Yeah.
Right.
The cardholder, the caregiver, the cooperative cultivator, by state law,
Yeah,
are allowed in any zone.
right, so in this change, we're making a couple of other changes, I don't know what they impact, right? So under D, agricultural uses, we got Ys across the board, those are just resident, never mind.
Well,
Never mind,
yeah,
answer my question, I'm all right.
Yeah, so we changed it because a lot of communities in the state are considering this agricultural use.
Yeah.
And there are some Superior Court cases out there where if a community does not have a local ordinance that addresses medical marijuana directly, they've been told that it's an agricultural use. So that's why
Oh, okay.
Al added that excluding medical
Excluding that,
marijuana.
okay, good. So that all right. Okay, I understand what's going on. We get-
Yeah, and just as an aside, Al's been working directly with the Department of Business
Yeah.
Regulation. They've reviewed this.
yes.
And they've signed off on it.
There's a man there, Norman Beerbaum, that is in charge of it for the state. And once Mark and I came up with the first draft, I sent it to him. He sent it back with recommendations for changes. We made the changes, we sent it back to him, and he said it fits in with what, matter of fact, he was very happy. He said that he was happy that we were working with them, because apparently a number of communities have just gone off on their own, and they're not, and he wasn't too thrilled with them.
Okay, any other questions? No, if not, I'll entertain a motion to send a favorable recommendation to the town council on the zoning ordinance.
I make a motion to approve, send it to the town council.
Second?
Second?
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And then, item 3, item 4, capital improvement program, recommendations.
So you all should have received in your package this table, the capital improvement program, and you may recall we approved a capital improvement program
Yep.
also last year. This is something that is required under the Code of Ordinances as part of the general operating fund. The first column, 1718, is really the column to focus on, because that is the only column that will be funded under the upcoming budget.
Yep.
Everything else is a projection out. These are based on requests from the individual departments for capital needs. Capital need is usually something that is lasts 10 years or more.
Yep.
So basically, fire department is looking at apparatus, information technology, or computers. Public Works is looking at vehicles and equipment. Police department is looking at vehicles and I believe a JAG grant for bulletproof vests, perhaps. And the building department, that $184,000 are repairs to the building we're in now.
Parks and Recs.
Parks.
Yeah, there's nothing in Parks and Rec. The one that's out at 25 is equipment, I think lawnmowers and trailers.
All right.
And if you go through the other pages, you can see the breakdown
Detail,
of
the breakdown, right, that's
what the requests are.
right. And what happens with the funds in general fund, below the line there?
The general fund, the 759,883, is that what you're talking about? That is going to be funded through tax dollars. That's what the general fund is for. Grants would be, those are JAG grants for the police department, and the detail fund is the fund out of the police department that they use to pay for vehicles. So that is money that, when a vehicle goes on a detail or sits there on the side of the road, the town gets reimbursed for that at a rate. So there's an account set aside just for that, and they do use that to purchase vehicles as part of their fleet.
Are we, looks like the town might be changing over their radio system,
Excuse me?
the radio system?
Yeah.
Seems like, yeah, police and fire,
Yeah, they're buying new equipment.
yeah.
They went through a couple of years ago, there was a whole changeover
Yeah.
across the board for frequencies and radio systems. And so annually, they upgrade, the police department is usually the portable radios, or adding radios to new
Yeah.
fleet vehicles.
They're changing over.
Yeah.
And this goes to the council
This goes to the town council, yes,
and then to the voters.
and then to the voters, correct.
Any other questions, comments?
So why is it that we're approving this?
It's required under the town ordinances that the planning board review it, and basically what you're reviewing it for is compliance with the comprehensive plan. And a lot of this information is included in the comprehensive plan. So for example, fleet upgrades is something that's contained in services and facilities element of the comp plan. Police and fire
is
should
it?
continue, yeah, it is, should continually upgrade their fleet. Some of these things are not. If, for instance, the town was gonna build a new building or something like that, it would need to be in the comprehensive plan in order to get into the capital improvement plan, in order to be reviewed by you gentlemen. There are things in here that, arguably are not capital improvements, but because of the way they're being funded, the finance department considers them to be capital.
Gotcha.
Don't worry, Wayne, Kendra won't have on the front page of the paper. Wayne Miller approves the town budget.
I don't think she works there.
She's
Any
gone.
other
Oh,
Oh, the new
questions?
girl is Kendra as well.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
Oh,
I'll
jeez.
do you know.
Oh, Kendra's
Must be a, yeah, must be a
Any other
requirement.
questions? Questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion that we send this to the town council recommending approval.
Make a motion to recommend the capital budget to the city council.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Wayne, second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor? Aye. No opposition. Item 5, public comment.
One at a time, please.
Since we have no public here, I assume we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I'll make motion to adjourn.
Second?
All right,
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, we're adjourned. This one has to be a record.
No,
Close. Close.